Welcome back, everybody, to Caravan of Garbage, where we're talking RoboCop, or some people call him Robot Cop.
Nobody calls him that.
Some people do. At least one person we both know does that. Please leave a like on this video.
Is this our most pointed passag subtweet yet on a video? Okay, wow. Cop that guy who's never going to listen to this.
It's me.
Oh, yeah, it's
I'm
you.
the guy.
Okay, right.
Now, off the success of the first RoboCop, obviously there was franchise potential in that. The studio recognized it. Toy companies recognized it.
Toy potential, yes, please.
Video game companies recognized it. And people who make sequels, which was the movie company, we're circling back.
Okay.
They recognized it.
Oh, yeah, what'd they do about it?
Well, they thought, let's RoboCop 2.
Oh, let's RoboCop 2.
Yeah.
And initially they're like, maybe RoboCop 2, TOO question mark? Maybe one of those? Because it was the era for that, wasn't it?
I like it.
RoboCop 2? But then they were like, nah, just a number
Just
would be
the
good.
number's fine. Now, I think it's all right.
It is all right.
Yeah.
You're not wrong. I don't know if you know this, James, but if you go to IMDb, they have a list of plot keywords for
Okay.
every movie, and you can tick whether they're helpful or not. So here we go. James, you ready?
I'm ready.
Child swearing.
Yep.
Very helpful.
Big tick.
No title at beginning. Impossible to know, isn't it?
I don't know.
Number 3, RoboCop character. Now, one person has said that's helpful, and 3 people have said child swearing is helpful. That's pretty good. Actress reprises previous role, certainly. Nancy Allen's back with a fresh new hair.
Underused.
The haircut.
No, the haircut's great.
She is underused, absolutely. Yeah, she's been pushed to the background. I'll just give you a couple more. United States of America.
Perfect.
Very helpful. Cyborg versus Cyborg. Dead boy.
What?
And boy killed.
Oh, yeah.
And this one just says bust, which is true, but not as true as the previous one.
Bust.
I'll buy that for $1, you know what I mean, James?
Oh, I get ya. I thought because, he's a twitching puppet for a lot of this.
Okay. Oh, he's a bust, like a bust
Yeah.
like the bust of Mozart or whatever in Bruce Wayne's drawing room.
Exactly.
That's really
I
interesting.
bet if you did open his head, there'd be a button on the neck. Yeah.
Well, what's interesting is when I was a kid, I taped this movie off the TV.
Yeah.
And I wore that tape out. Enjoyed the heck out of it.
You put a leash around it and you ran it around the park.
That's exactly right. That's right. And if I was really good, my parents would let me have a real pet. But let me tell you this, having rewatched this now as an adult, boy, that TV version, they really cut some stuff out.
I bet.
Speaking of child swearing.
Does the kid die in the version you saw?
Yeah, but he's not like riddled with bullets.
Okay. They just find him dead.
Yeah, that's right. There's fewer slurs in my version on VHS.
Sure.
They absolutely cut out that bit where a sniper gets shot right through the eye.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
That's a good bit. That's something you want to see as a kid.
Well, I was going to say, what's interesting about this is a movie that would have been a big mainstream title back in the day.
Yeah.
And it has some stuff you would never see in a mainstream title now.
Absolutely not.
Like there's cops getting riddled with bullets and blown up.
Yep.
At one point, just a couple of TV news reporters get shot.
Yeah.
And in a modern day blockbuster, there would be some ADR where they just go, "Are you all right? Yeah, I'm fine."
Or they wouldn't do it.
They wouldn't do it at all. Yeah.
Well, obviously the people behind these movies, if we can circle back to the movie studios who make these.
Oh yeah, I've heard of them.
They also realized that after this movie, considering what came next.
Yeah.
I also think as a result of all that and how violent it is and, the slurs and the kid murder and whatever, there's a lot of subtlety that's lost here. Like the messaging is too heavy-handed. The new OCP flag, it's just a Nazi flag.
Yeah.
The crime reports, they're not funny. They're just kind of ludicrous.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. This one is, I understand what they were going for.
Yeah.
And I think as a kid, I thought a lot of it was very funny. But compared to the first one, it is quite kind of ham-handed.
Yeah.
Like there's ads for that
The car-
Magnavolt, the car security system that electrocutes the car thief to death.
And it's got that guy.
It's got the guy who plays Lex Luthor's dad in Smallville.
Lionel Luthor. And he
right.
voices the Riddler. What's his name?
It's on screen, probably.
Yep.
John Glover.
John Glover.
Yes.
Nice. I thought he was going to pop up again.
He's the Floronic Man in Batman and Robin.
He's Gremlins 2 CEO.
Oh my God, he is.
Yeah.
This guy's everywhere.
I guess what I would have loved to have seen from this is that it's Aliens to Alien, it's Terminator 2 to Terminator 1, and it's just
right.
not in that kind of
And I'll
league.
tell you one thing that even as a kid I noticed,
Yeah.
and I did not care for it. It feels like even before the sequence where RoboCop is torn to pieces and put back together, it feels like at the start of the movie he got reset to factory settings.
Yes.
Because at the end of the first one, the old man from OCP says, "Hey, what's your name?" And he goes, "Murphy," and he's got his personality back, and he's a man again. And it's like, well, how's he going to reckon with that and still being on the police force? And how's that going to go? And I guess they just went, no, he's just a cold, unfeeling robot again. And he's just kind of weird. Like, it's better for the plot if he's inhuman and robotic, but he has memories of his family and he wants to go back and terrorize them.
That's interesting because, like, there's a lot of that is explored early on. Like, he's visiting them. She comes to visit him. He basically tells her, even though it seems not to be true, that he's more of a homage to the memory of Murphy.
That's right.
You know,
He's a bust.
I'm a homage, baby. I'm a bust. Think of me as somebody taking the face of your dead husband and stretching it over a robot.
I mean, sure, we could have made him look really cool and handsome and charismatic, for the public. But they decided to make him a freak, to honor your husband.
But I think that's a very interesting narrative. And they do explore that in the reboot, which we'll get to. But it doesn't go anywhere. At the end, he's like, well, we're only human or whatever. And that's just kind of it, really. Like, I think in a lot of this, he's purposefully hiding his humanity from everybody around him because it's upsetting to him and probably to them. But also he might not be.
Yeah. But again, never really resolved. I
Yeah.
think they were too excited to do the plot, which is basically, what if RoboCop versus Ed 209, but Ed 209 wasn't useless?
Yeah, absolutely.
he was-
Which is a solid idea. Okay, so look, I think Peter Weller, incredible, still brings all of that. The suit is now constructed purely of fiberglass, which means he had more freedom in terms of movement and easier to get in and out of. How do you feel now that it looks kind of faker that it's bluer though, right?
Look, I think we didn't in the last video. I don't think we really got across how iconic the suit is.
Well, this is about RoboCop 2, so I don't know if that's something we can circle back to.
I don't think we can then. Okay, well, whatever.
But you're right, what a design, right?
It is. They've made it blue now, which is more police, I guess. But apparently they did that because in the original, the silver sheen was reflecting the camera a lot.
Sure,
So they were like, we got to find a hue that doesn't do that. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
But then again, they fixed it in 3. So
They did.
yeah.
So it's blue, you're saying. And they harvested a bunch of materials to give it that specific color.
I would never say that.
Is what you're saying.
I would never say
Okay,
that,
that's all right. That's all right. Okay, here's some good moments that I like, though. The moment where he's ambushed in the factory and they just pull him apart.
Yeah.
And then he's a wiggling bust.
Yeah,
I love all of that.
That's right.
Really good animatronic face on that
I
as
agree.
well.
Yeah. Because initially you're like, how'd they do that? Fully artificial guy.
That's
I guess.
right, yeah.
But it's interesting. Why didn't they just kill him? I guess to prove that they're the new bosses of Detroit or
that
something.
they could if they wanted to.
Probably should have.
Yeah, they should have, because he came back and fucking RoboCop'd them all.
RoboCop,
Didn't
he RoboCop the heck out of all. Well, RoboCop 2 really RoboCop the heck out of most of them.
It's true.
Oh, that's another thing they took out in the version that I saw. RoboCop 2 just rocking his girlfriend's head back and forth like it's in a paint shaker. They cut that out for the TV version. Let me tell you.
You're not wrong. I think the new directives that he has, that's a fun idea.
That is a fun idea,
Just bogged down in corporate bureaucracy where he's completely ineffective.
I think he has some funny comedic moments, and I
Yes.
think Peter Weller really sells those.
Where that guy's dead and he's like holding the corpse and giving him a talking to.
And then he does the quick robo double take.
Yeah.
That is great. Yeah.
I think the fact that they made the CEO in this just flat out evil makes sense, because he would be. He runs this corporation.
That's right. I feel like maybe in RoboCop 1 we saw his one good week.
Yes.
And the rest of it he's mostly like RoboCop 2. Yeah.
Exactly. I love that one of the gags is just a little league baseball team.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's fun.
That's sort of reminiscent of the Warriors kind of
Definitely,
thing.
yeah. So there was also a big concern from audiences and Siskel and Ebert that the boy who was put in this,
Hob is his name.
Yes, that violent little boy was put there intentionally to appeal to kids in a movie that's not a kid's movie, that the news of this boy would filter down to them.
Okay. You can be killed by RoboCop. If you work hard in the drug trade, maybe one day a RoboCop will machine gun you.
RoboCop 2 in this particular case.
And you'll die in a big pile of money. And isn't that what you want, kids?
Absolutely. I think also there's a moment in this where, he gets his groove back, aka he shoots a bunch of people, including that guy, through the eye.
Yeah.
But that's when I realized watching this that the pace in this is fucked. Like the first one is so tight.
Yeah.
There's not a wasted second. And in that moment, I was like, oh, this is kind of like the end. And it's an hour in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it does definitely pick up because after that, there's a great moment where RoboCop is on the front of a truck and he's getting like ground against the wall and he's riding a motorbike and all of that.
Please.
That's really good. And it definitely picks up when
Mm-hmm.
turns up and, as that horrible top-heavy stop-motion monstrosity.
Yeah, there's a moment there, of course. They've so the plot of this one, of course, is that they haven't found a replacement for RoboCop. Alex Murphy's the only cop that can be. He's the only man thus far that can be transformed into a RoboCop and not immediately kill himself.
I think he was just shot the right way by accident.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. But and so they've got to find one, and Dr. Fax.
Yeah.
She comes to the conclusion that perhaps
She's great, by the way.
she's pretty
Australian,
good. Yeah. She comes to the conclusion that perhaps what they should be doing is looking outside of the police force, and they decide instead to use drug kingpin Kane to turn into a RoboCop. And his brain is removed from his body, and it's popped into this thing. And so how people in his circle can recognize him is the helmet pops open, and a big TV pops out with like a 1990s like sub-max headroom CGI version of his face.
Lawnmower man
And
monstrosity.
it pops open, and his girlfriend gets a good look at it and goes, "Oh my God, it's you!" And it's like, "Are you kidding me? It could be anybody. It could be anybody on Earth."
Yeah, you're not wrong. It's not the best use of CGI in a movie.
No.
But I think it gets the point across.
Sure.
That he's a face on a TV or whatever. And he loves drugs because he needs drugs to be the RoboCop or whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's got any interest in being in the RoboCop because there's a big final fight at the end. And this is, I feel, like the pinnacle of this blend of live action and stop motion. Or it's go motion. Go motion is when you add that kind of motion blur to it.
I see.
Which Phil Tippett worked on this, and that was the original idea for the first Jurassic Park. Because the idea to do that on computers was like ludicrous, making dinosaurs that way.
Yeah, they look like Max Headroom.
It looked like Max Headroom, exactly. But the idea was this time, as you mentioned, to make him more intimidating, like a powerful version of Edward 209. And I think it's a little busy, but I think intentionally, right?
Yeah, right.
And it's supposed to be top heavy, like a bodybuilder with skinny little legs. But he can navigate the world, and he is clearly built very efficiently for murder.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, got all of that right.
And there's the moment where RoboCop jumps. Speaking of, finally like composited action.
Yeah.
There's the moment where RoboCop jumps onto his back, and it swaps from, I guess, a guy in a stuntman RoboCop suit to the stop motion.
Yeah.
Like it's real. Like it's seamless.
It's really great. So yeah, there was a stop motion RoboCop as well. When they're in the frame together, but kind of at a distance, it's rear projection with stop motion in front of it. And they also built like the upper torso of Kane when he's like on the top and like pulling his brain out and whatever. So yeah, they used different elements and the hands and whatnot, the different hands that he has. And he goes clank, clank, clank. I'm gonna twist your head. Apparently she could really do that. You know that bit? They apparently stop motioned that in real life.
Really?
Yeah. I saw that on Adam Savage's YouTube channel where they interviewed Phil Tippett. So yeah, they just did it frame by frame, and apparently she could like contort her head like that.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty incredible, right?
Oh, also the bit where, speaking of stuff removed from the TV version, the bit where they take Kane's brain out and then they just show him his face, like what's left of his skull. They've taken his entire head off, and they're like, "What do we do with this? Chuck it in the bin, I guess." Sure. I don't know. We got this TV. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah. Anyways, there's a couple of versions of this before we got here, and I'm going to talk about the original one after we do some trivia. But let's get into specifically the comic book creator and creator in general, Frank Miller, because he showed up on set every day during filming, even though he was not required to. And you might be like, why was that? Well, it's because he wrote this version of the script, some of it to a point.
I thought you were going to say he wrote Batman Year One.
Yeah, no,
he's like, I deserve to be here. You read that? It's great. I'll show up wherever I want. Hand out copies.
That's fair. So Paul Verhoeven wasn't interested in coming back. He went on to Total Recall after the first one. But director Alex Cox was asked to direct RoboCop 2, but he turned it down. He greatly disliked the original screenplay by Frank Miller. And in an interview with The Guardian, he said, unlike the original RoboCop, which trod a path between right-wing politics and left-wing irony, Miller's script was reactionary and obnoxious, pitting its robot police hero against homeless people. No wonder he's so popular with the Hollywood 1%ers. Ooh! Sick burn. I've got more sick burns, though.
Oh, yeah?
Michael Medeiros, who played Katso, the Elvis-looking one in the gang, recalls Irvin Kershner. By the way, Irvin Kershner came in to direct this like 3 weeks before it started. It's the last movie he ever did. He directed, if you don't know, Empire Strikes Back. So pretty incredible. There's nothing wrong with the direction of this, by the way.
No, in fact, I think it starts out really strong. You know the sequence at the start where there's a woman collecting cans, and then a trolley gets hit by a car, and then a guy comes to rob her, and then a couple of women on the street, they beat him up, and then the building behind them explodes. It's like a real Rube Goldberg device of just urban decay. I thought it was delightful.
Perpetual motion machine of crime happening.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Oh, also, just side note, there's just a teddy boy looking Elvis guy in the gang, and they've got Elvis's bones.
Yeah, man,
in
they got
warehouse.
Elvis's bones.
Okay, great,
pretty cool, right?
Yeah. I guess. I mean, that's what the kids want, isn't it?
They love.
Hey,
dead
kids,
Elvis.
if you work really hard in the drug trade, you can get Elvis's bones and be machine gunned by a RoboCop.
Absolutely. So the actor who plays Katzo recalls that Irvin Kershner was literally ripping pages from the script every morning, calling it awful, while screenwriter Frank Miller would look on mournfully.
Probably why Miller was there. He's got some sort of shaming kink or whatever. Miller, this sucks. Oh, does it? Tell me how bad it sucks.
Peter Weller criticised the script, saying it lacked the spine and the soul of the original.
I mean, it's got a spine.
That's true.
It's in a jar.
Yeah. Weller tried to convince Frank Miller, Irvin Kershner, and the film's producers that the third act needed a morality angle instead of being just a shoot 'em up. But the producers felt the battle between RoboCop and RoboCop 2 was sufficient.
Probably because of the big guns and such.
Yeah, that's probably it, yeah. So the final version of this was heavily rewritten and only bears superficial resemblance to Miller's story. But in 2003, you'd know this, Miller's screenplay was adapted into a comic book series titled Frank Miller's RoboCop. He's the other one. It's me and Frank Miller who call him RoboCop. That was one of the big changes that Irvin Kershner was doing.
Oh, you had to keep ripping the T off the top of every script page.
That's right.
God damn it, Miller.
Yeah. Now, because of all that I just did, I've only got one piece of trivia. You know? We've got to keep it brief. We've got to keep this video tight.
Okay.
We've got to keep everybody involved in the video. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand.
If it goes too long, if I say explain something at length and people aren't interested, they might drop off. So
That's exactly right.
We're trying to, just listen, we're trying to avoid that here.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
So if you have anything to say, think about it properly before you say it, because we'd hate people to drop off. If one of us.
Is this some sort of producer style scam where you want people to drop off? What's happening?
Okay, so this section's called Trivia Cop 2.
Bang.
While displaying RoboCop's new directives at the police station, the cable plugged into his head is actually a water supply coupling for a toilet.
Nice.
I hope it actually is, because that would explain a lot of RoboCop, just filled with toilet water.
Just sloshing around in this mean streets of Detroit. Glug, glug.
Now, the original film of this, Edward Neumeier and Michael Miner were immediately approached by the studio for a possible sequel.
Because they scripted the original?
Correct,
All
yes.
right.
They had a very rough outline for a movie called RoboCop Corporate Wars. Got the title right, that's good.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. So in this draft, RoboCop was to be shot and pulverized to metallic dust by a cannon in the very beginning.
An old-timey Civil War cannon?
That's right. He would be resurrected 25...
Where'd you even get that? He said.
I don't know, it's next to Elvis's bones.
Makes sense.
Why would those two things be together? A history museum, I don't know. He would be resurrected 25 years later in an even more dystopian future, if you can imagine, Mason, where he becomes a pawn in the struggle between an all-powerful corporation, the government, and an impoverished population.
And here's a fun little twist.
Yep.
He falls in love with Detroit City's computer.
That's hot stuff.
That is hot stuff.
And
It's a girl. You can tell because it's a regular computer, but it's got a pretty bow on it.
That is cool. So you might have seen this in live action because this bears a striking resemblance to the pilot episode of the first RoboCop television series from 1994.
I have seen it. It's bad.
Yeah, it's not great. Look, we're not going to look at those this time around, but if they ever get around to making RoboCop Returns, we probably will. And speaking of, in 2019, it was announced that Neumeier and Meyer's rough draft would be the basis of RoboCop Returns, which is an alternate sequel to RoboCop 1987 and ignores everything afterwards.
The Halloween in it.
That's right. Now, this is the last time that Peter Weller played RoboCop in live action.
That's
He's
right.
voicing him in the new video game that's coming out.
You voiced him in Mortal Kombat 11.
Exactly. So I feel like with what happened with Indiana Jones 5 and Michael Keaton returning as Batman, I'd imagine the studios are rethinking that at the moment. I would love to see it. I would love to see it, but
I would like to see him in another, like if we're doing the sequel, I would like to see him in another role, like maybe he's the mayor of Detroit or something. They
Sure.
put him back in a human body somehow. You
Yeah,
know, just give him
okay.
a nice little appearance like that. I think that'd be a bit of fun.
But then at the end, he becomes RoboCop, yeah?
Then at the end, he becomes RoboCop and he teams up with new RoboCop and then he passes the torch and he's like, you're just as good a RoboCop as me, which is why we'll do a sequel to this. You know, and they shake robot hands.
If
'Cause
we're allowed
that's
to.
That's the only way you can do it these days.
Yeah, you might be right.
Yeah.
Passing the
Also, there's a
torch.
girl RoboCop.
Oh my God.
There's a team of girl RoboCops. You can tell because they have a little bow on top of their robot helmets.
Perfect.
We're Miss Pac-Man in it.
Now, the box office for this, on a $14 million budget, the US box office return was 45.7, which was okay. The international numbers for this are not really around.
Yeah, you had a quick squiz. You couldn't find them.
Yeah, it was more than a quick squiz. I did my proper research, Mason.
Did you sign up for IMDb Pro?
No, I didn't, but I don't want to do that.
I bet it's right there.
It's probably not there.
Folks, if you're watching this and you are signed up to IMDb Pro, please click one thing and we'll know.
Don't sign up if you haven't. Only if you already have, and I will
right.
put it in the comments. So yeah. Anyways, we're going to get back to the real RoboCop sequel, RoboCop 3, the one where he gets a jetpack.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, so that will be next week. And if you want to see that early, which, excuse me, why wouldn't you?
That's right.
You can actually head over to bigsandwich.co, where guess what?
What?
Well, Mason, we do bonus podcasts.
Oh.
We do movie commentaries.
Oh, yeah.
We do video game Let's Plays. Yeah. We're going to be playing some RoboCop that is going to blow your dick off. Just like RoboCop did to that
Love
guy.
that.
Yeah.
That's right.
Did that sound inappropriate?
No.
Okay, cool. Because I feel like in the context of RoboCop, that's fine. But if I had have said it outside of that context.
If somebody has started this video and then immediately skipped to this moment, they'd probably find it a bit weird. But in context, I think it's probably
okay,
fine.
perfect. So that's bigsandwich.co, where also our podcast, The Weekly Planet, where we talk movies and comics and TV shows, that comes out there early on Sunday as opposed to Monday. But if you just want to subscribe and whatever, that's also fine, you know?
That's right.
Yeah. All right.
Great.
Great.
Do you think this is the only movie where RoboCop reloads?
Apparently it is.
Yeah, right.
At least of these ones.
How many bullets that friggin' gun got?
Yeah.
Heaps.
We'll see on the reboot, I guess. He probably does in the reboot because you want him tactical.
Yeah, absolutely.
You want him John Wick in a room, you know?
That's right, you bet.
Yeah. All right. Thank you to Ben and Lawrence for the edit also.
Thanks, guys. Grab
And-
that gem, you guys. We'll see you next week.
I said but it's going to sound bad in the edit, but
Okay.
it's fine.
Great.
This is the end of the video now.
Wow. It's an embarrassing end for you. If this is the last video we ever do, like if you're RoboCopped in the street or something, what an ignoble end for you, James.
Maybe they'll turn me into some kind of RoboCop YouTuber.
They'll turn you into a vending machine.
That's fine too. Come get a can. Come get a can, everyone.